Remember when this gesture was all the rage? Then you might be in the Fearless era. So we're going to be talking about the original Fearless album today. Eventually I'll circle back around and do the Fearless Taylor's version. But today we're just going to be doing the original because it's important to return to your roots. So without further ado, let's get into it. So at the time, this was one of my favorite albums, but as time has gone on, it's been slowly replaced with other things. Fearless, the title track, that one is going to get an S tier right out the gate. I had it kind of being on the border of S and A, but I think this one, I really like it a lot. I heard it in the gym the other day when I was in there lifting, and it brought back a lot of really good memories. And most of those memories are of summer and hanging out with friends and things of that nature, so it's just nostalgic and I like it a lot. 15 was one I never cared for, even from the beginning, and I know that that one had a lot of meaning for a lot of people. I think the bass in that one is really cool, and I think the bass line is really what saves this one from getting a lower rank. So I'm going to give this one a C tier because I like the bass line a lot, but that's really the only thing that stands out to me. And then Love Story is kind of the same thing. You know, it was never one that really spoke to me a whole lot. The music is really cool. At one point in time, I loved this song a lot, but I think it probably got overplayed, and I just slowly kind of lost my interest in that one. So this one I'm going to give it a C tier. The next track is Hey Steven, and that one I loved from the moment I've heard it. It is still on my lifting and riding playlist because this one is actually shockingly good motorcycle riding music. So this one, S tier all the way. I love it. It's great. It was so different from a lot of the other music she'd done up to that point, and I thought, looking back on it, it's almost like that one was foreshadowing the Speak Now album. So this one, just great. This is great. White Horse is one that I did not like at the time. I actually hated it at the time. It was an F tier for me at the very beginning. It's grown on me a little bit, but I still don't like it, and I think this one's going to have to sit at an F tier. I just don't like it. It just doesn't work for me. Like, the instrumentation is cool, the lyrics are cool, like the whole thing is kind of nice, but the whole thing together, I just don't like it. Like, I just don't like it. And then we get to one of her most iconic songs, which is You Belong With Me. That one, I remember at the time, that got all the airplay for like a whole summer. That was like the only thing the country stations were playing. It was in every store. Didn't matter what store I was in, Target, Best Buy, whatever store it was I was in, was playing this song, and I loved it at the time. This was one of the songs that really, really, really stood out to me. And I remember thinking how cool this song was, and it worked so well. So this one, of course, is going to get an S tier. It just such a good song. And the Taylor's version is good too. I'll show some love to the Taylor's version later because I know somebody somewhere when they see this, they're going to be like, well, what about the Taylor versions? We'll get to it. Trust me, we'll get to it. Breathe is a really cool song. It featured Colbie, Caillat, who was another artist I really liked at the time. And I think this one is really, really pretty. And the hook that's on the guitar and I think it's a mandolin is the other instrument that's making the hook. Really, really cool. And I really love the flow of this one because the vocals are very flowy and they have kind of a floaty feeling to them, and there's a great ambience to it. So this one gets an S tier. Tell Me Why is going to get an A tier. At the time that I listened to this, like the first time around I listened to this, way back when it first came out, this one got an S tier, but as time has gone on, it hasn't really held up quite the same way that her other music has. It's still a really cool song and I like it a lot, but there are so many other S tiers on here that this one is just not quite as good as the other ones. Then You're Not Sorry gets a B tier. That one was one that, again, at the time, loved it. It ranked higher at the time, but the competition for all the other songs is just way too high, so this one's going to have to get bumped down. The Way I Loved You, and that one, another one that jumped out at me at the time. This one used to be an S tier for me because it was so different and so cool, but I think as time has gone on, this one's kind of waned a little bit in my appreciation, how much I like it, so it gets an A tier. But this one, the dramatic pauses that were used in the way the song was structured were very, very cool, and that's one of the things that made it stand out to me. For Forever and Always, I listened to this one a lot when it first came out, and I remember really, really liking this one at the time because the chorus, like the hook in the chorus, and the way she pronounces certain words in the chorus were very ear-grabbing, and I thought that it worked really well, and it just had a really cool quality about it, and I remember liking this one a lot, but as time has gone on, this one's faded a little bit. I think that this one's going to get a C tier. It doesn't hold the same meaning for me that it once did, even though it's still a really cool song, and the build that is used and the pre-chorus is really cool. The Best Day was one at the time that I absolutely hated. It was an F tier at the time I first heard it because I just did not like the musical structure or the way that it flowed, the instrumentation, the melody. None of it really stood out to me. But as I've gotten older and gotten some more life experience, this one starts to talk to me a little bit more because of how the lyrics are written. I think this one tells a really good story about growing up and how you know, your relationship with your parents, how that looks at different stages of life and kind of how that changes a little bit. Listening to this one now, I can hear the lyrics a lot more than I could at the time. And I think that it stands out a lot more. So this one is not going to be an F tier anymore. I still don't like it. The lyrical content is really cool, but musically I still dislike this song quite a bit. So I'm going to give it a D tier. The lyrics kind of speak to me now, even though the music still kind of sucks. Change is the next one on this album, and this was one at the time I listened to a lot and I really liked it at the time. I think probably because I was younger, so the lyrics spoke to me a little bit more. Really cool hook partway through the song. I don't remember exactly where it is in the musical structure, but it is a distinctive drum hook. That hook is really cool and I loved it at the time, still love it, but the song just doesn't really hold as much for me as it once did. I'm going to give this one a C tier because I still like it and it's not like a song I dislike, I just don't like it a lot. When I was going through this, listening to the platinum version of this album, because at the time I bought the album, I didn't realize a platinum edition was coming. I didn't really get exposure to the rest of the songs on that I'm going to be talking about until they started coming out and I'd hear them in stores and stuff. And the first one is Jump Then Fall, which this one immediately, from the first time I heard it to the time I was going back and re-listening to it, like I hear this one pop up even now, it's still in stores sometimes. This one is so cool. Like the melody is really cool, the way the song opens up with just like the acoustic guitar, and it has a really good swing in the melody. It's just so cool. It's such a cool song. The arrangement is good, the instrumentation is good, her singing is good, the vibes are great. This one is an S tier. It is so good. Untouchable is going to be a C tier. It's just not really one that I'm super into. Like, it's okay. This one really reminds me of the Lucky Ones from Red, but that's another song I didn't really much care for, so I'm just kind of like, eh. Then we come to Forever and Always, the piano version, which is going to surprise some people given my video on the TTPD, but this one's going to get an A tier. I know I've railed against the Sad Girl piano in the Tortured Poets department, but this one actually works really, really well, and I think it's probably because the vocals are a little bit different. They're not like sad girl vocals, there's more energy to them. So this one I liked quite a bit. Come In With the Rain is another A-tier song. The introduction to this one sounds a lot like it's a 12-string guitar, which is something I don't hear a lot of. Like Hotel California used a 12-string guitar in the intro, at least as far as I remember. It's not a super common thing, so that really stood out to me. I thought that was really, really cool. And the rhythm and melody are really, really catchy, so I like it quite a bit, so it gets that A-tier. Then Superstar is another good song. It's competing against so many good ones, though, that this one isn't going to rank as high. I think I'll probably leave it in the B tier. Then The Other Side of the Door has the same problem Superstar does, where it's competing against so many other good songs. This one and Superstar, neither of them really stand out to me. So this one stands out even less, though. Yeah, this one definitely gets a C tier. So the re-listenability for this album is a 47%, which is going to be in that A tier. And this album has a lot of really good stuff on it. I've already talked about it at length. I think it's a great album. If you like this video, if you're liking the series, like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna finish through all of her albums just because this is a really fun project for me. But I am gonna start branching out into some other stuff as well. If you're a returning viewer, be watching for that. If you're a new viewer, thanks for sticking to the video. I'm still kind of figuring some of this stuff out. Thanks for watching.